the temple it was near Damascus, and they said that that temple was made like 10,000 years ago or more. And I was just wondering like how they made that temple, because I was looking at it and it was made out of I was looking at it and it was so intricate and it was made out of stone and everything was symmetrical.
No, please understand. Near the temple, did you see a mask standing?
Yes.
That was the original temple. That was the original temple. The present which you are seeing is built by Rani Ahalya Bai. See, the original temple was built during the time of Sadashiva, 60,000 years before. When he was in the body, his own Atma Linga is the Linga which was installed. He himself installed it. That was the original temple. The temple was maintained by our Mahanirvani Akkada. When the Aurangzeb only attacked. He attacked the temple at least 10 times, but we saved it. We won the war. Once there was a Chaturmasya period. You see, Chaturmasya means that time between Guru Purnima and Navaratri, we sadhus don't pick up weapon, we do only study. We don't travel, we just stay in one place, we study. So at the time, all the weapon will be kept in as one heap. And it will be taken out only on Vijayadashami day. That is why Vijayadashami day is day of weapon. All the weapons will be worshipped on that day. Then we will pick it up again to defend and protect Sanatana Dharma. So when this Chaturmasya was going on, we will not touch the weapon unless Acharya gives order. So Acharya went to Allahabad to take Snan. Some auspicious occasion. This fellow got the insider information and stopped the Acharya there itself and attacked the temple here. So our sadhus went and stood with bare hands and fought. 10,000 sadhus got killed. And he took over the temple. 23 ships. Actually, yesterday I told you 17. There is a government archive. Why don't you go to the Indira Gandhi Palm Leaf Research Foundation, the government organization. They scanned all this and put an English translation and published it. The whole Aurangzeb's court documents, where he gives the order to demolish the temple, and where after all these atrocities, the whole gold taken from here was gifted to our that court dancer, 17th court dancer. And they stripped the whole temple. Whole temple was actually gold sheeted. They stripped the whole gold and take it through the ships in Ganga to Delhi. And from Ganga to Yamuna, Yamuna to Delhi. That is the way he took. And anyhow, 5 of our sadhus who have mastered the yoga, while the attack was going on, they realized they are losing, on the losing ground. They picked up the main deity and sat in samadhi, kept the deity in their lap among themselves and jumped into that well. And 1.5 years after, when the situation was under our control, our Acharya ordered the queen of Ahalya Bai's ancestors. So Indore queen was ordered by our Acharya to rebuild the temple. Then her ancestors rebuilt the temple, present temple, and in the Gyanvapi well, we digged out the well. Still all the 5 sadhus were in samadhi, not dead, holding that Shivalinga, and we took the linga out and installed it in the temple. Now the present temple has a 3,000 kilogram, means 3 ton gold on the top of it. The top of the temple is covered with a pure gold sheet, thick gold sheet. 3 ton, 3,000 kg gold is there. And the original temple, which is now mosque, the whole plan is in our Akkada. Even now we have the original plan. It's in the goat skin, goat leather they have drawn. Those days That big paper was not available, so goat skin they have drawn, it is still there. Based on that plan only, the Banaras Hindu University, that temple was built by Madan Mohan Malaviya. The temple you went and saw in the university campus is the replica temple of the original temple existed. That was the size, fully covered gold, thick gold sheeted, was originally here. And 17-acre campus. Still we are paying tax for all that 17-acre because legally that 17-acre is in our hand. Even though security has gone to government and all that, but still Akkada is paying the land tax to the revenue department.
Nithyanandam Paramashivam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavaditam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam and welcome. As you all may already be knowing, Gyanvapi is the talk of the town. This is something which every single person on social media, every single person who is a Hindu is going on and on and on about Gyanvapi. Ever since the inauguration, the Prana Pratishtha of Ramlala in Ram Mandir in Ayodhya has happened, the next everyone is eyeing and looking at Gyanvapi Mandir is what is trending on Twitter at the moment. Gyanvapi Mandir in Varanasi. For those of you who don't know the situation and scenario going on, in Varanasi, the current Gyanvapi Mosque, the complex stands as a symbol of religious significance and historical intrigue because of its the complications in its history. But thanks to recent revelations from the Archaeological Survey of India, popularly known as the ASI, it has stirred a fresh wave of debate and discussion about whether it was actually a Hindu temple or whether it was a mosque. The ASI report has shed light on the complex's intricate past as well as igniting debates all over the media. According to the ASI survey report, photographs and findings within an 839-page document suggest that the presence of a remnant of a pre-existing Hindu temple from within the mosque complex. These include more than 55 broken idols of Hindu deities such as Hanuman, Ganesha, Nandi and Paramashivam also. Along with the Yoni Pitas and other swastiks and other the Padma lotus, all of these artifacts, iconography is found all over the temple. And this is something which you don't need an ASI report to see. If you go and visit the temple yourself, visit the mosque yourself, you'll find these throughout the complex. The lawyer representing the Hindu litigations asserts that the ASI report provides irrefutable evidence of the temple's existence before the mosque's construction. He highlights inscriptions detailing the temple's demolition during Aurangzeb's reign, which Aurangzeb had tried 10 different times to destroy the temple, and 9 times we were able to successfully rebel and stop the destruction of the temple. It was unfortunately during the 10th time when all the sadhus were in the Chaturmasya, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had just explained in a short video, that the temple had been demolished. So while the ASI survey brings out the evidence, brings out the truth about how this was actually a Hindu complex, there is something even more interesting which you can find in the Skanda Puranam. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had mentioned, the original linga of the Gyanvapi temple, of the original linga of Vishwanatha, was safeguarded by the Mahanirvani Akhada, of which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the Mahamandaleshwara. And with the linga safeguarded and with the temple, the current temple being built by Ahalyabai, the temple and the original linga is still maintained and the worship is still continuing. But the topic of discussion here is more focused on the Gyanvapi. What is the significance of Gyanvapi? And when we already have the Jyotirlinga Paramashiva already in the other Vishwanatha temple which is constructed, the current temple of the Vishwanatha Linga, why do we need the Gyanvapi as well? What is special? What exactly is the Gyanvapi? What is special about it? And why is it important? So Sri Nitya Rajananda Maharaj is going to be taking us through the Itihasa, through the Puranic history of the Gyanvapi temple, of the Gyanvapi fountain of youth, which it actually is. Yes, Maharaj, please go ahead.
Yes, Nithyananda. So actually beautiful, even the news has also shared that the Hindus have a right to now start worshipping inside the basement of this Gyanvapi mosque. So we wanted to share more details of what is this Gyanvapi. Actually, it is there evident in the name itself. Gyanvapi, it is the Jnanoda, also known as Shiva Tirtha. Yes, this has so much of significance inside our very Puranas. Many researchers have been able to map the tirtha, actually what is worshipped there, in fact, by some of the current occupants, is a well in itself, a sacred tirtha, which is what is known as a water body. So the Gyanvapi is actually a water body, and it was dated back inside the Skanda Puranam. Yes, it is one of the most beautiful and what do you call volumes Puranas in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And inside the Skanda Purana, there is a chapter, the fourth chapter, known as the Kashi Kanda, and it tells the glories of Kashi. And if you know, in the Hindu Diaspora, Kashi is, it's like the Ananda Ganda of all of the entire Hinduism. Ananda Ganda meaning that it is the center, the core, the spiritual epicenter of it all. So inside this Kashi Kshetra, which is having a chapter inside the Skanda Puranam, where it describes the glory and the very lore and the story behind the whole Kashi Ganga coming and Vishwanatha happening, there is one particular story about Gyanvapi. It is where, of course, the whole conversation in Skanda Puranam is between Subramanya Swami, Kartikeya or Skanda, and Rishi Agastya. So they're having a conversation, and Agastya is inquiring about the Jnanoda. What is this Jnanoda? Is what he's asking Skanda. And Subramanya answers him, telling him the story of how Paramashiva, in the form of Ishana, came to the Ananda Kanda, or the Ananda Vana, is what also it is called, the forest of the Varanasi Kshetra. So there, the Lord came forward and saw that the supernal effulgence, the Lingodbhava form of Paramashiva, was there, and it was being worshipped by all of the devas and all of the beings from all over the lokas. So in this Puranam, he saw that it is being worshipped, and Ishana came forward, and he also wanted to offer this worship. So at that moment, he took his Trishula and struck the ground, and from there rose the fountain of Jnanoda, right? And there, this is known as the Gyanvapi. And
maybe exactly who is Ishana? Because we all have it. Isn't Ishana one of the 5 faces of Paramashiva, as we chant in the Rudram and in the other scriptures? We have the Ishana face, the Agora face, the Purusha face, Vamadeva, and Satyajata. So Ishana, when we say Ishana, we are referring to this Ishana, this face of Paramashiva.
So yes. So when Paramashiva manifests, right, in the physical body, we have so many incarnations of Paramashiva. He comes at times and worships the other. You can always see in the Puranas, Varaha was there at the time when Venkateshwara was there. At the time when Paramashiva existed in one form, he also existed as another form. So it is always there, and it is there throughout our Puranas as his incarnations and various manifestations of there. Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga, all these deities manifested at similar times. So the incarnations of Ishana is described in this Purana. So Ishana, of course, is the god of the one who takes us to the face of Paramashiva, who takes us to liberation, to moksha. And of course, his purpose would be to provide the same kind of an experience to, as incarnations happen, to the whole world. So that would be the purpose of why Ishana would have come and done this very act of worshipping Paramashiva, Vishveshwara, Vishwanatha, as he is celebrated in Kashi right now. So he created the Jnanoda. So this Jnanoda is described by Skanda Subramanya inside the Skanda Puranam about how it is equivalent to Paramashiva himself. So an interesting thing that you'd also see inside our pujas is that when we do rituals, we make ourselves equal to him through some of the processes you may also be knowing as the Sakali Karanam, right? We do this ritual worship. So in that same way, the water that was used to worship Vishveshvara, Gyanvapi, the fountain, is water that is equivalent to Paramashiva himself. And there are so many verses that describe that it is Shiva, worshipped by Rama, worshipped by Krishna, worshipped by all the goddesses, worshipped by Kapila, and worshipped by Vinayaka, worshipped by Skanda. So this Gyanvapi is extolled inside the Purana as equivalent to Paramashiva, and he even speaks, Vishwanatha even speaks in this part of the Purana, saying that he is available to the world as the form of water. So the fountain, the Jnanavapi, which is actually a well that is currently there, is a deity. It is not just, it is Vishwanatha, who is worshipping Vishwanatha with this water. It is a deity.
It is a deity on its own.
Yes.
So it's not like in other temples, we all have the temple tank.
Yeah.
So to say, in Madurai temple, in Annamalaya temple, in Tirunelveli, they have a separate water tank. So this water well in the original Vishwanath temple was a deity unto itself,
Yes.
not just a tank for the temple.
Yes, it is known as Shiva tirtha, Shiva himself. Imagine, it's just, you can say how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism creates various ways for us to touch close to enlightenment, whether he created the alchemy products or he gave us the Aushada. In the same way, this water is equivalent to Paramashiva. He gave us the Parasadashiva Garbha, which is Paramashiva in the form of powder, right? These we have seen in modern times happening. So it is evident that Paramashiva himself would give himself to the world in the form of water. And yes, of course, even throughout the literature, throughout the Kriyapada of Agama, you can see Paramashiva is worshipped as water. What do we keep in a kalasha, the pradhana kalasha in a homa? We worship him in the form of water. So it is evident in Hinduism itself, in so many temples, that he is worshipped as water. Jnanavapi is water. Jnanavapi is Paramashiva. It is a deity in itself. So this particular narrative is something that all of us Hindus should embrace and understand the importance of this temple and this importance of this temple now being allowed to be worshipped by Hindus.
So what else does the Skanda Puranam tell? Is it just the puja or the ritual significance, or are there any legends and stories and history associated with it as well?
There is a beautiful story of a chaste devotee of Paramashiva. She was a woman who was, of course, worshipped into Shiva Diksha, and she did the worship of Paramashiva, and she was immersed in Paramashiva. She was extremely beautiful, extremely magnificent, had a beautiful form, and but she was immersed in worship of Paramashiva, especially in the form of the Gyanvapi. She would go into the temple and worship him in the form of Gyanvapi every single day.
You mentioned Shiva Diksha. Exactly what is Shiva Diksha, and what is the worship we do once we're initiated into the Shiva Diksha?
See, in Shiva Diksha, as given to us by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Varanasi Nithyananda Paramashivam, who is reviving this whole science according to the Kamika Agama, which is the foremost of all the Shaiva Agamas and Tantras. He is telling, as he initiates us, we have the right to worship Paramashiva and put ourselves on the path of living the life as Shiva, living the life of worshipping Shiva. So those themes that you find that resonate with so many spiritual seekers, like Shivoham, oneness with Paramashiva, or those themes that I can be Paramashiva, I can be all powerful, I can be, no matter what's around me, I can live so powerfully. Those themes are actually institutionalized by Paramashiva himself in the form of Agama. So through the Guru's initiation, you can take those same teachings as Shivoham or Paramashivoham and live those as a reality in life through an initiation. So she had that. She had that Diksha. Her father was an initiated Brahmin who was following this. So she had
Kalavati's father.
Yes, this is Shushila. She was the previous incarnation of Kalavati. So the story is that she had this immense power. Of course, she was a Shiva Bhakta, and of course, something happened in her life where she was taken away from this worship and abducted and taken away into the mountains. And in that moment, her abductor was a man who had to, of course, no sense. He had only sensual pleasure as his goal. So, of course, the curse comes and he is, of course, killed by a demon. And both of them are reincarnate into the next life, and together as Kalavati and her king. So they meet each other, and upon the meeting, the king is presented a picture. After the marriage, they had 3 sons and they live a happy life. So after they ruled for some time, they had 3 sons. She is presented a picture of Varanasi. She presented a picture of Varanasi, and in that picture, she's immediately transfixed. She was a chaste, of course, because of her Shiva Bhakti in her previous Janma. She was an ascetic among women, a chaste woman, and she lived a very pious life, doing Shiva Puja and worshipping Shiva. But after seeing the picture of Varanasi, just by seeing, she was able to point out the greatness, and she was extolling. It was like she was being possessed by the divine, telling her own previous lives, how she lived in Varanasi, about the greatness of the whole place. And she pointed out the whole Varanasi, the greatness of Manikarnika, the greatness of the Vishwanatha. So she was telling this to everyone. And in that moment, when she saw the Gyanvapi, which is very close to her previous birth, at that moment, she fell over. She had horripilation, that is what they say, and she fell into a trance state. And then, of course, everybody around her thought that she is caught by some cold or some high-level fever. So what they do is they start putting a remedy on her, giving the medicine and all. But then there is, of course, a guru amongst the kingdom, and that guru comes to them and tells that no, she's not transfixed by anything. She has had a glimpse of her life. She has had an understanding of what she can, what her previous birth was. So show that picture to again, and let's listen to the rest of the event of this Gyanvapi tale. And of course, after the picture is presented, she gives so many powerful verses on how this very water body, Gyanvapi, is equivalent to Paramashiva and the Shivalinga that can be worshipped by all the beings in all of the cosmos. So in that way, she gives it, and she prays to her husband. We have lived our lives, we have had children, let us live with Paramashiva now. Let us return to Gyanvapi. In this way, the Purana, Skanda Subramanya, tells the story of how she came back with her husband to Varanasi, and they both, as you know, the norm is among the Hindu diaspora to, the goal of a life is to finally go to Varanasi, settle there and immerse yourself in austerity, the worship of Shiva. That is the ultimate goal. It should be even right now in the Hindu diaspora.
Preparing yourself for a graceful exit.
Yes, it's not just that. It's just undoing a lot of what you did before. Of course, you did the whole cycle of karmas and everything happened, but to live that life, and of course have the ultimate oneness with Paramashiva and the exit. That is why we look for. That is what we do in Varanasi, and everybody looks forward to that. So this king and queen, both, as you said, Kalavati is her name, and she went there, and they lived a very pious life, and every day did the worship of Gyanvapi. And upon one day, they were visited by an ascetic with matted locks. As the stories tell, Paramashiva himself came, and he told that today you will have the Diksha. Paramashiva himself will come and give you. And as he said, there was a chariot that came from the skies and took them to Shiva Padavi, both the king and the queen. So this is the tale of Gyanvapi. And of course, the Puranas even continues to say that those who listen to this tale and remember this narrative, as says that you will have an honored life in Shiva Padavi. So all of us work for Shiva Padavi in our life. Kailasa Padavi is our ultimate goal. So when we go there and recite this narrative, we can have. So this is what the Purana says about Gyanvapi. And if you can even see a lot of modern history. One of the interesting things that I found was everybody in the world was looking for something called the Fountain of Youth. It was a tale. Where did this idea come from? But if you read the story of Gyanvapi and understand how that water itself was something that can give you immortality, then you can understand that this tale is of the world-renowned tale of the Fountain of Youth can be found inside the tale of
Actually, very true, because even amongst the many research and many backings and evidence which points towards how it was actually a temple and not a mosque, they directly points towards, and they also quote not just from the Hindu scriptures and the Hindu Puranas, but also from many of the travel documents and travel records of many of the people who are traveling, the Buddhist pilgrims from China, from Portuguese, from even from British, and from the French. All of them point directly towards all of them have stated and have recorded that there was such a magnificent and beautiful temple in Varanasi. So it's very much imaginable, very much possible to say how that from word of mouth it would have spread, and everyone would have been searching for the Fountain of Youth. And I think this is what one of the major myths, I could say, where the truth becoming a myth, and that is what is being spread in in media and entertainment and in different forms and different ways.
Yes, so much of world history, you can say, is even working towards even finding this Fountain of Youth or finding the city of gold, which is what Varanasi even is described in the Puranas, the city of gold. The word for it in the El Dorado, that word of city of gold, and finding the Fountain of Youth is a lore that is there in many history, and people have gone mad doing so much conquests, genocides, just to find the city of gold and find the fountain in modern history. And the funny thing is, it is actually always there in Varanasi, and I think it was found. And as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shared in the clip that we just watched, he shared that it had its 23 ships. 23 ships of gold and gems and precious metal was taken away from the city, from Varanasi. And of course, unfortunately, the story is 10 times the temple was attacked, and 10th time they strategically attacked at the time of Chaturmasya, where they had to face an army of sadhus who had nothing but their arms to fight. Of course, they were just slaughtered in that moment. And from after that, of course, the main linga was protected. And a year and a half later, by the Naga sadhus who did the yogic feats, and they protected the linga, submerging themselves inside the well of the Gyanvapi well, and protected the linga. And of course, then after that, they took linga and set up the temple, and it was created again. But the information now that we need to understand is the Gyanvapi is a deity. Gyanvapi is a well, yes, and it has Paramashiva there. He was originally there as Vishwanatha and worshipped there with the Jnanoda, the waters that are Paramashiva. So it is a beautiful space, and I think we can even understand so much from this story of Kalavati, and embody her dedication to Paramashiva, to go back to that. You can say that even our history is kind of a metaphor of this same story. We can say that finding that remembering, I think, is what we have to do. We have to do a lot more of sharing this whole story with everybody in the world. All those Shiva Bhakts around everywhere in the world should really understand. And also very important, it is not just understanding, but really embracing it and worshipping Shiva in the way that he himself told. And that can really happen if you have taken the chance to do the Paramashivam program and connect with Paramashiva and take the Shiva Diksha. Once you have done that, all of these Puranas have such a deeper meaning. Maybe you're a researcher on your own, or you want to yourself learn and inquire about these topics and learn how to awaken everyone towards Paramashiva. The real way to do it is with the Guru. The real way to do it is having the Diksha. Once you have the Diksha, the whole story, it doesn't become a Purana or a myth. It becomes a history. Oh, this is my story. And everything shared in the story is more meaningful. There's many things that we ourselves were reading, and we hope to share more and more content with you that we've discovered about the very Gyanvapi story in the Skanda Puranam that really is so much more meaningful to us as those who worship Shiva, especially those who do Shiva Puja every day and worship him in the form of the Shiva Linga.
Actually, Maharaj, on this topic of devotion to Paramashiva and commitment to the Guru, that is actually very much displayed in the in the remaining of what we have of the Vishwanath temple and of the Vishwanath Linga. And it is thanks to them we have whatever is preserved, we have it today, and that can be only, the credit can only go to them and to their extreme sacrifice, so to say. Because repelling is one, but without any weapons, and to the level that Guru what they had, they know that the temple is going to be invaded, they know that the temple is going to be, going to be under attack. But because of the Chaturmasya commitment, and that without the Acharyas word, they can't pick up the weapons. Even then, knowing it is this Guru Shishya Sampradaya, more than Guru Shishya Sampradaya, the Sannyas Guru Shishya Sampradaya, which is the reason why whatever we have today, be it the protection of the Ayodhya Ramamurti, or of the Vishwanath deity, it is because of the Sannyas Sampradaya we have what remaining of Hinduism is left to us. From Adi Shankaracharya to every single sadhu who sacrificed their life for the Vishwanath temple, it is because of the Sannyas Sampradaya. And it is only through the Sannyas Sampradaya can we even have any sense of, is there any sense of possibility for Hinduism to continue to be protected, to continue to exist, to continue to have future?
Yes, it is actually very unfortunate. They are very uncredited. The work of the sannyasi, the life of the Hindu sadhus. See, for a person who is in their day-to-day life, Rama or Shiva may be a part of their life. They have their business, they have their family, they have other things. But for the sannyasi, Rama is his life. Shiva is his life. For him, it means so much more than anything else. And of course, at the end, they even are ready to be able to be okay with being wiped out from history. Because that doesn't matter. Their history, they're not after any name and fame. They want Shiva. They want Rama. So even their name in history, they don't even care about. They wanted that, and they were able to. There's so much of negative media also sharing that the sannyasis were the ones who were at the blockage, or were the ones who even destroyed some of these temples. But it is actually because of these powerful sannyasis and sannyas sampradayas that we even have remnants or even a knowledge of these things. For example, a temple is desecrated and gone. A sadhu is only going to be sitting there all day and saying Ram Ram.
Yes.
Other guy is going to continue his life. He has to rebuild his house. He has to rebuild everything. But the sadhu only is going to be sitting there saying Ram Ram Ram, and his name will be remembered. And because of that sadhu, he'll be telling again, let us start a temple again. Let us build this platform again for Rama.
Actually, now that you bring up this point, even the current temple which is standing right now in Varanasi, the current Vishwanath temple, it is under the order of the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of the Mahanirvani Akada at that time, instructing the Indore king and queen to build the Vishwanath temple.
Yes.
So understand, it is the sadhus. If you are experiencing, if you are enjoying the benefits of having the Vishwanath temple, or whatever is standing today, the linga of the Vishwanath temple and the temple also, the gratitude for that, the credit for that goes to the sadhus of Mahanirvani Akara, who stood for hundreds of years, protected the temple and made sure that the temple was rebuilt. If not on the same property, made sure another temple was built until the original property can be acquired, until history can be revived. Probably the ancient heritage site can be revived and the temple can be re-established. So it is the sadhus, it is the monastic order, Sanya Sampradaya, which is keeping Hinduism alive. It's not just going to keep Hinduism alive. Currently keeping Hinduism alive is these people. And so with this, we just want to take this moment to give a shout out to all of you and also welcome all of you, and for invitation for all of you, if you are interested in protecting Sanatana Hindu Dharma, which is a dire need of the moment, as of this moment, a dire need. You can always reach out to us, leave a comment in the comment section or send us a message. We'll have the phone number linked in the description and in the comment section as well as in the live chat box. So please reach out to us, or you can go ahead and fill the form at kailasa.org/join-rudra. So in any one of these places, please reach out to us and we will help you. We will help you to become a sannyasi of the Nithyananda Sannyasa Sampradaya. Because it is us, it is the Sanya Sampradaya which is going to keep Hinduism alive, which is keeping Hinduism alive today and going to be keeping Hinduism alive further and further in the future. And it is this work which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is doing to revive Hinduism. It's not just one temple here and one temple there, but Hinduism on a global scale, reviving each and every single Sampradaya. As you know, Hinduism is not just a single body, it is not just a single entity, or it is not just, one book, one God, but crores of God and 10,000s of Sampradayas. And it is being revived single-handedly by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And so if this is something which resonates with your heart, if this story of Mahanirvani Akhada protecting the Vishwanath Linga, this story of the Mahanirvani Akhada rebuilding the Vishwanath temple resonate with you, and something which you feel needs to be done in order for Hinduism to be alive, in order for us to have a successful future for us and for our next generation, and join the mission of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in reviving Hinduism, not just here and there, but all over the world. Please reach out and we'll be more than happy to make you part of the Sampradaya.
Yes. I think this invitation even extends specifically to all of those who are Shiva Bhaktas. So many people are celebrating Shiva in their own way, whether they are initiated or found a guru to worship Shiva or not, or just celebrating the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, whatever it may be. All of them, your bliss, your enlightenment is credited to Paramashivam in the temples that he has given us. And we have to do the work of rebuilding it and giving that opportunity for our generations to come. The beautiful work is actually happening where Hindus are now able to worship Gyanvapi, and exciting to see this news, and we hope to give you more of this kind of extremely good news, and also depth in-depth understanding about these original kshetras and temples and why they need to be revived. And in reviving them, what is it that we need to embody? That Shiva Bhakti. We have a little bit here in the corner of our hearts to Shiva. How do we expand it? And how do we make it into something that manifests as a wonderful temple, a wonderful worship of Paramashivam? That is the ultimate goal. If you see all of the stories, whether it's the Nainmars or the Shivanadiyas, whoever it may be, you will really see the physical living goal in their life was to build a temple for Paramashivam. If you resonate with this, then come join us as Nithyananda Rudras, as the Sannyasis of Nithyananda Order, and help us, work with us to revive these very temples.
Actually, every single Hinduism, if it's known today, for us as practicing, we need to be indebted to Shankaracharyas, to Adi Shankaracharya, first and foremost, because he is the architect of what we currently practice as Hinduism. Goes to him, a sannyasi. And then if you look on all the temples which were protected, Ayodhya, Varanasi, and every other major temple, it is thanks to the sadhus, the Mahanirvani Akhada, and the other Akhadas and the other sadhus who played a vital role in protecting whatever is remaining today of all our ancient temples. And even further, Swami Vivekananda, who we are going to be celebrating very soon, Swami Vivekananda's Jayanti coming up very soon, and celebrating his advent on the planet Earth. What the world knows of Hinduism is thanks to him today. And the work, the tireless work, sacrifice and effort he has put to wake up a nation, wake up Bharat, to remember its original glory and bring it back to its original glory. A sannyasi.
Yes.
And it is sannyasis, if you really want to make a difference on a global scale, on a level which the whole world resonates and vibrates with you, the way to do it is to become a sannyasi. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has opened the doors to each and every person. If you're watching this video, and if you hear about this, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has opened the door for you to become a sannyasi of the Nithyananda Sannyasa Sampradaya. So again, you can visit kailasa.org/join-rudra, or you can reach out to our phone number, which is going to be in the description as well as in the live chat box, and reach out to us where we will help you into becoming a Nithyananda Sannyasa Sampradaya.
Speaking of Vivekananda, a few words, Maharaj. I think the person who can really understand Vivekananda and map his very life as a possibility today is Swamiji. And in his talks and how Swamiji has described Vivekananda and just the volumes that he was able to put out, it is mapped into today's world. Vivekananda 150 years ago only. And that is a possibility for you, vision that you can be a Vivekananda. The mapping of how to be Vivekananda is already manualized by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And we hope to be giving more content and more discussion on this very topic of how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has mapped the roadway to be a Vivekananda today, and actually how, looking at Vivekananda's whole life story as a power manifestation itself. It was a miracle, and he was able to conduct these miracles around the world just because of his initiation from his guru, and the Guru Shishya Sampradaya continues.
Yes. And so with this, we thank you all for staying tuned in and being a part of this segment. And we invite you all to continue to stay tuned, where for the days, in the coming days and weeks, we're going to be covering more segments like the Gyanvapi temple, as well as the other different revelations, like how we had the great revelation from the Skanda Puranam about how important and what Gyanvapi actually means in history. And it's historic, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has mentioned. It is only when we remember our history we'll be able to truly remember our true narrative. And so with this, we thank you all for staying tuned and being a part of the session. Thank you.
Before Hindus to recognize, I have created a very powerful enlightenment ecosystem. Everywhere, spiritual awakening is happening, enlightenment is happening. People are manifesting enlightenment, manifesting powers, everything. In social media, we have started compiling all the views. It is crossing billion views.
Support Kailasa's efforts to serve humanity by sharing your time, treasure, or talent. Sign up via the link in the description.